Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the eighth episode in the Heal series. And today, 𝗩𝗶𝗱𝗵𝗶, I'm a health transformation coach. I'm bringing to you 𝗩𝗶𝗱𝗵𝗶. We're going to be talking about finding your passion during the pandemic. And I'm very, very excited to have such a prolific speaker here who's a motivational speaker, a life coach, and a youth leader. So thank you for joining me, Veer.
Thank you so much for having me, Vidhi. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today.
That's great. So I've sort of chosen a topic around a time that seems to be very frustrating, depressing for a lot of people. We associate it with fear more than anything else, and a lot of distress. So tell me, what has the virus really taught us?
So, of course, there's a lot of stress at home. A lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people who have got the virus, also with those who have conditional disease with them, precondition, have not survived the virus, and that's very unfortunate.
Yes.
But however, the virus has also taught us to press the pause button in life. If you look at it, since March, since the lockdown, we've all been in our homes. Now, of course, there's unlock happening.
Yeah.
Where in our lives have we got a chance to just press the pause button and reflect within ourselves? Where in life have we had that chance?
Yes.
It's unfortunate, and life is like a rat race. It's always been like a rat race, and we've all
Yeah.
been guilty of that. We do not have a chance to enjoy the moment and live in that moment where we
And
get a
now it's
chance.
been forced upon us.
And now it's been forced upon us. But again, you can say forced upon us, but it's also like a gratitude, you could say, that
Yes.
okay, I get a break, I get to relax, I get to just be home with our families. Where have we had this opportunity where we can have a time with our parents or with our loved ones? We're all working or in school. So that's given us the chance, I guess. The virus has given us a chance to press that pause button.
And like we started with all the negative words, and you quickly switched it to all the opportunities and the chances and the positive. And I think both of us are optimists here, looking for opportunities and everything. And like you said, it's taught us to pause. And pausing is something we couldn't do before this. It's been forced upon us, but we've taken the opportunity to go within. And that's a wonderful thought. But tell me, a lot of people are physically facing job losses. We are losing members of our family. How do we get to that positive side? How do we get out of that fear and start looking at those things? Because for some people, it's really, really hard. Their realities are different.
No, totally. For some people who have lost their jobs, like I said, totally yes. But then you can always say it's like the flip side of the coin, or you see it other way, is the glass half empty or half full, right? There's a
Yes.
different
Perspective.
perspective.
Yeah.
Different perspective. And those people who have lost jobs have a chance to see, okay, I've lost my job, what can I do? And this goes with me as an example I can give you. As you said, I'm a life coach and a youth mentor.
Yes.
In 2000, before this, I was doing a job with my uncle. We had our own startup on turf.
Mm.
And my Mossa told me once, actually, when I was with his hotel, we're having dinner together. He said, "You're very good in helping others. So why don't you look at this as a potential passion of yours?" And I was not so technical at that time. I was like, "Chalo, let's see, ho jayega when it happens." So when this lockdown happened, and the grass business was not doing well because hotels were shut down,
Yes.
our border with China was not doing well. I said, okay, how can I take this initiative and help the youngsters? Because mental health is there. They must be depressed. They must be anxiety. So then what I did was, thanks to technology, we have technology on our fingertip these days,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And I just Googled on Google and said, okay, how do I help youngsters and what app? And thanks to Urban Pro, I found this app. I put my details in, and within half an hour, I started getting queries. And I got few
Wow.
students like that to help them.
Right.
So after
So,
my TED talk, exactly. So this,
wow, so that is grasping an opportunity and really finding your passion. Can you elaborate on this idea of passion? Because a lot of people, even whether we paused or we didn't pause, many of us go through life without really understanding passion or the need for it. And I want you to really bring that out for us. What do we mean by that? Why have it in your life?
So going back, why have passion? I mean, so unfortunately, like I said, again, life has been a rat race, and in India, there's a competition going on. Just yesterday, I was talking to somebody, said that
Yeah.
marks matter a lot in India because there's 20 people for that one job, right?
Mm.
And unfortunately, from our school days, people are focusing on marks, and we
Yes.
focus from all our lives, and we've all been guilty of it. We want from school to college, from college to work, from work to marriage, to raise a family. We don't enjoy a moment,
Right.
and a lot of people keep a job for the sake of supporting their family. Correct.
Mm.
So we don't say, okay, it's just a job. We have to do it to get an income. But we all have a passion. We all have a forte, a niche, and when we
Yes.
and it takes time for people to find that niche, right? Obviously, like I'm sure, like you love doing this. You started this during the opportunity, so we all
Absolutely.
have a niche, and it takes time to find that niche. It
Yeah.
might not happen now, but as long as you start looking within yourselves and saying, okay, what am I good at? We all are talented, right? Nobody's not talented. We all have our skills. We all have our strengths. We all have our
Yeah.
weaknesses. So when you find your passion and make that your job, then you're
Yeah.
not like, oh my God, I'm so tired from work. Or, oh my God, I don't feel like going to work.
Also,
So
when you say job, I want to bring out here that I think you and I speaking here are prime examples of the fact that we found our passions. We do similar motivational, optimistic, positive work, and I also work with children and maternity. And there was no job. I literally went to the hospital and said, there's a need. We need to do this. There's no job that I was applying for. And slowly people started waking up to it and they started taking seriously that, okay, maternity wellness is a thing. Mothers need help. Just our family structure isn't enough. And because I had a passion for it, I think I created that space. I created that job, which doesn't exist prior to when I wanted to create it. And you created that as a youth motivator, a youth leader. So there is also this aspect that I want to bring out today through our work, that everything doesn't have to already exist. Your passion can create these jobs and opportunities or positions, as to say. Yeah.
100%, I totally agree with you on that. And see, I have a lot of friends who are my age who have gone to the US, Canada, abroad. And people always, and I've come from abroad. I've lived in abroad also and came back to India. And all of us say,
Mm.
don't you want to live abroad? Of course, maybe in the future I might want to live abroad. But India has that opportunity where there's so much dirt of talent and so much dearth of need, like you were saying, the need with mothers, the need of the youth. That
Yeah.
if you have that passion, you can just go ahead and do it. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
India is
it's a bigger land of opportunities, like you're saying. It's a bigger land of opportunities than we see because it's easier to go into a rat race or a mundane space when you live abroad. I think you've lived abroad. I've lived there for 6 years in Europe as well as in the US, and it was a very monotonous life, less drama, very organized, less dirty, and I think that gives you less opportunity because you're not really trying to survive. Here you're trying to survive, you're trying to be efficient, you're trying to beat time, you're trying to keep your house clean, you're trying to cook, and you're trying to survive in whatever job passion space, and you're fighting for it. And that survival instinct that kicks in, I think that's what makes you more passionate and driven here than you would be if you were living in a different country. So I think we're blessed to be here.
Exactly, the land of opportunity. And like Mahatma Gandhi says, be the change you want to see. Correct. And
Absolutely.
and if you have that opportunity and you have the talent, why not? I mean, we have all these people from Microsoft to all these CEOs now who have gone abroad, who are part of
Yeah,
Google and all. They're all from India, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
But there's opportunity in this country too. Why not? 100%.
True. So tell me now, there are many, many people who are not in the space that we are, where we've used the lockdown to work further, delving into our own self awareness, finding our own passions, and they really haven't experienced this yet. So, how do they go about finding this passion within themselves?
So yeah, so like I said, it takes time to find your passion, and you should not worry about it if you haven't found it. So going forward to find your passion, there are ways we must look at it. And I have a quote. So number one is, of course, you have to adapt your goals, right? We all have goals in life. You have goals,
Yeah.
I have, and unfortunately, sometimes our goals do not do not happen, right? And we get very disappointed. How many of us have been guilty of our New Year resolutions that, okay, today we'll lose weight this year, but never happens,
Right.
or we're not going to have sugar, but never happens, right?
Fair enough.
So just like our phones and our computers and our technology, we change our settings when something's not working.
Yes.
So we must learn how to adapt our goals. When we adapt our goals, we won't be disheartened if we don't achieve it. So if you plan,
Right.
let's say, if somebody I don't know, wants to become a cricketer or a sports person, I'm giving an example.
Yeah.
How do you adapt your goals? Maybe in 1 year you can't become a cricketer. Fine. It might take you 2 years. But then you divide that 6 months, 7 months, 8 months to reach that goal. Another way is, I don't know, in school, we all have different types. We're all different type of learners, right? You're a
Yeah.
different type of learner. We all learn differently. And
Right.
that's kind of my background too. And so I'm more an auditory learner. So I like to process information through listening.
Yes.
Some are visual learners. So those flashcards in school, when you have to remember a test. So make a vision board. It's so easy. We have so many magazines at home or pictures you can get from the internet. Just cut it out and paste it. What is your vision?
Yeah. Absolutely.
How do you get into your vision? So those are
So
the
when you see, yeah, it's great that you mentioned about adapting goals, because there are two aspects that I see, that sometimes we are not aware of any goals other than our monetary goals, that we need to achieve a certain job, income, wealth. And because in the present circumstances, we are not able to achieve those, it is a huge setback to the whole system. And adapting that and going from monetary to non-monetary sometimes can be the hardest thing for a lot of people. I'm glad you gave the sports person advantage, because I wanted to share a story here of someone who has faced this. And it's great that you brought that, because spontaneously I could think of this person and how they have found their passion, used the opportunity, is the following. That the first month was dismal, because a sports person, if they don't get open ground to play, it's the worst thing, because that's what keeps them going. That's what keeps the endorphins going. And after a month of moping around, getting distressed, going into that almost like blues, depression sort of zone, he decided that my body still can move in whatever confined pace that I live in. And I have technology that's available to me, just like you and I are using today, to reach out to people. And he designed different kinds of sports and movement and mindfulness practices, and actually opened out a batch for teenagers, for little children, for budding sports people, to keep going in confined spaces, so that the body doesn't become sluggish, and what we say in Hindi, zang nahi lage body mein, and you actually are at a better space in terms of fitness by next year, when things are more open and we can actually seize those physical opportunities. But he's already created a new market, already created a new opportunity for himself and many, many, many people out there who are like him. So it was a beautiful example that you kind of brought to mind.
And exactly, see, look, this, and I have so many people who have created opportunity, and you were talking about monetary, right? People focus on monetary. And
Yeah,
I would like to bring a quote here, if you don't mind. And it's a very
absolutely.
interesting quote by His Holiness, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm going to read it out, and I have it written and printed actually here, by the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
So the Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, answered man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not even enjoy the present. The result being that he does not even live in the present or the future. So you're not living in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die. And then he dies having never really lived. So, we're never in the present. We're always in the hurry in the future. And your friend or whoever got this opportunity, yes, you've been depressed. Yes. A lot of people have been depressed. I understand. It's nerve-wracking in this kind of times. It's a very uncertain
Right.
times.
Yeah.
But we have
True.
to, again, look at the positivity. And just the other day, my mom and I were talking about during a family dinner, mom and me and my dad. And she was saying that 2020 will become a saying, oh, so 2020. So, like Google is a saying, just Google it or Googling. And I said, look, 2020 is a saying, yes, but if you look at it, what does 2020 mean in reality? Perfect vision, right? Having 2020 vision.
How you
So,
perceive things.
yeah, so Mother Nature is giving us a chance and saying, look, okay, you've unfortunately, environment has not been what it's supposed to be, the air, but we got clean air. You've seen animals come out.
Yeah,
So it's giving us a chance to reinvent ourselves, if you would like to say,
absolutely.
right? To
So
reinvent
in
ourselves.
this reinvention, I want to bring in a funny note, and I think many of us are aware or not aware, and I know this because I do maternity work, that in fear, in loss in families, and in frustrations, couples have taken the opportunity and the advantage of the lockdown. And while pausing, I think the current statistic, believe it or not, on a fun note, is that we have 70 million women in India who are expecting babies in 2021. So I think it's going to be a tsunami of babies, and that's a fun way to look at opportunities seized and finding passion. But coming back to a note on you, so tell me today, where is 𝗲𝗏 in his passion during the lockdown?
So where am
What are the
I?
different things that you've done, not only career-wise, but personally, in terms of inner awareness, inner growth?
So inner growth. Okay. So personally also, inner growth. I'm not somebody who could cook or been able to cook. I'm not somebody who's very good. I've been always scared of the gas, open the gas. And I don't know, I always had this fear for some reason. So during the lockdown, my mother wasn't with us. She was in the hills. We have a house in the hills. So she was stuck there. So it was just me and my father. And
Right.
we had one staff with us who lives in. But then I had to say, okay, now look, either, and I didn't want to eat food from outside. I was very scared at the beginning, obviously,
Right.
viruses on the boxes. And, the media really puts a lot of fear in us, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, so then I said, okay, to learn how to cook. So I started learning how to make porridge. I
Okay.
started, I started how to cook, at least make my breakfast, make at least pasta. So now at least if I have to cook, I can be able to cook. I'm not dependent on
Right.
anybody. So personally, I learned how to cook. Uh, of course, being in boarding school, I knew how to make my bed, but I was never in India. I don't think we take that chance to do our own things, our own chores, because we have the help all around us, and that's how we've grown
Yes.
culturally.
Yes.
But I learned how to. I said, okay, I should be able to make my own bed. That's one thing to help my staff. Obviously, he had to help clean other rooms and all. So just to help him and give him that extra hand, make your own bed. So personally, I learned how to just be independent, I would say.
I'm so glad you said something so basic because, even though we have traveled and lived abroad, this is something that in India, at least urban India, many of us privileged people absolutely don't do. We just get so used and taken for granted that, everything's going to be done for us. And during these times when staff didn't turn up, I can't tell you how many people just behaved like they were shattered. They just
Yeah,
behave like they were shattered, that, oh, nobody's there to clean the floor or the bathroom or make the food. And yeah, sometimes it's a setback. It takes you a week, like you said, adapt. So adapting not only to your goals, but to your circumstances, and then finding the time and chance, because there are parts of the world where they don't have these services available. So they grew up to manage time, and they don't achieve less than we do. They achieve the same or more. So it's actually in those 24 hours, how can you adapt to a new situation and find a new you? And you beautifully became even more independent.
exactly. Although I've been to a boarding school where I had to be independent, university where there was nobody to help, obviously. In
Right.
America, at the age of 18, you are on your own. You're,
Absolutely.
I have friends from the US who are 18, and I see on their Facebook they're working on their own, married, whatever. Because at the age of 18, the parents kick them out. In India, we have,
We're
and
never
it's
kicked
true,
out. We're
we
never
never kick
kicked
them.
out.
In our cultures like that, where we have a family support,
Yeah.
right? In India,
And there is a beautiful side to that. I think sometimes that also enables finding your passion because you do have support to help you with the basics, and you can sort of take the opportunity to focus within. But it's a bit of an interesting thing, and I would like your take on this, where sometimes being with family for some people can be noise. There's too much going on, it causes noise, and you're not really able to retract and go with it. And sometimes when we have families, um, if you have children, the families are taking care of your children, and you have that time to work on yourself, find your passion. Let's say, for example, me, because I'm in a family now, my kids kind of get taken care of. I can do all these wonderful things. I'm writing my book, I'm doing my work, I'm on this show, and both these things happen. So, what is your advice to people who are in a new situation where they are with families now and they're not used to that? How can they take the noise out and go with it? Because that's what they need to do to adapt their goals. That's what they need to do to find their passion.
So yes, that's a very interesting question you've put, and I do realize it. So there's all this noise is there. So we can't choose our family, number one, right? We're born in our family, and then when we get married, we get into a family we're married with.
Yeah.
So and this is where I've seen with my clients and with the youngsters especially, and this is the Indian mentality, unfortunately, where parents you grow up with say, okay, become an engineer or become a doctor, even if the child does not want to become an engineer or doctor, because that's the job to see, right? That's the mentality. So what I say for those people is that, okay, you hear all this noise, but end of the day, you cannot control that noise, right? You can't control other people, right? You can only control yourself end of the day. There'll be noise from one side and a noise from that. And I've also dealt with that in myself, and I've seen that happen. Of course, we have disagreements with our own family members, and sometimes that happens to all of us. No family is perfect, I would say. And if you think you have a perfect family, then that person is not telling you the truth, right? So you take it from one ear, and if you don't like the information, you take it out from the other ear, right? So the advice for people who are just starting with a family, and you're saying of people, you have kids and grandparents. So I have my sister who's older to me, and she has two kids who I'm very fond of, who's 10 and 9. And being the only mamu, so whenever they come on the weekends, I get to play with them Monopoly. My mom's a teacher and educator, so she spends time with her grandkids. So you have that extra help of hands if you need it tomorrow.
Right.
We're not alone, right? If you want your parents to help you to take care of the kids.
Right.
So take that as an opportunity that will help you. But if that noise is there, just remember, you cannot control other people. You can only control yourself.
And that's where I think going within is a beautiful concept, the whole idea of self-awareness, because if we go within, we for sure will find our passion. I mean, there's no way you won't, because that's the time you've been left alone with yourself. When you've numbed that noise out, or you've meditated that noise out, or you found another tool through so many things, beautiful things like sound, through breath work, through exercise, lots and lots of different tools that we have. And I think we have a rich culture that allows us to explore these things. So tell me, if I were to ask you, today from this session, when people go back and they have so far been seeing the neutral or the non-positive side of how things have been, or been in a fearful family environment or work environment, what should they take back to change and transform themselves and to start working on their passions?
So I'm glad you brought that up. And this came to me about 3 years ago. I was in my mamu's house, and I was spending time with my nani there. And I was very close to my nani. Unfortunately, she passed away about a year and a half ago. But when my cousin sister's daughter was there also, and she was learning how to walk and crawl. Actually, not even walk, crawl. And this idea came to me. I said, it's quite ironic that we do not take our childhood into adulthood, because we learn how to crawl first. Of course, we're in our parents' laps, then we learn how to crawl, and then we learn how to walk. But we don't walk in the first go. We keep falling down, don't we? But eventually we learn how to walk, right? So in life, there's so much, people are so scared of failing. And that's the whole mentality. Why are we scared of failing? In order to fail, it's okay to fail. In order to succeed, we must fail. And so many people have failed in life. So many people have failed in life. If you look at Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, but they've dusted themselves and came out of it. Correct?
In fact, I would say that you absolutely have to fail in something, because otherwise you're not really going to experience success in its truest, most beautiful, open form. Because we start so many small endeavors and we think that we absolutely have to succeed and be at the top of our game, and some of them just fall flat. They just fall like a dud. I think you and I might have started so many things during this time in our passion, and a couple of things just fell away, and that's okay, because whatever stayed is probably where we feel our true achievement, our true passion.
Exactly. So even if you fail, you just learn how to dust yourself and get up, right? So let's take our childhood with us and bring it into adulthood. We never do that because there's so much pressure from this rat race, this anxiety that job hai, job chahiye, job niklega, you know. And also, I'm sure you've seen this with your kids, and I've seen this with my niece and nephew, and I've seen this all over, that kids do not have fear when they grow up. When they're chota bachas, 2 years old, 3 years old, they don't have fear. It is us. It is us to put that fear in them. Oh, don't go outside, you'll get hurt. Oh, don't go outside, it's hot. Oh, don't dance in the rain, you'll get sick.
School, right? Because I remember being a really good student, and my sister always taunts me that don't put that pressure on your children. Just because you liked academics doesn't mean they have to, and doesn't mean they have to get a 15 on 15 or a 100 on 100. They may just actually want to get an 80, and that's okay. Because we've been drilled with this thought of aspiring for 100, aspiring for perfection. And that's the only way to think about marks or life. And what if a child comes to you and says that, I just want to be average at academics because my passions lie elsewhere. And so many times that's not acceptable to us as parents. And right there, we've damaged the child. Right there, we've not said that it's okay to be this way and choose what you want to. Do something else. I think what you mentioned that, when does this really happen? Because they're not fearful when they're 2, they're okay to fall, even up till they're 8 or 9. But this whole rut that we get them into of academics slowly breaks this psyche and says that, oh no, you can't fail. If you fail, something horrible will happen. And we repeat it year after year and after year. So I think we become so fragile that today, if you and I are talking about failure, how many people can actually sit up and say that if I fail, it'll be okay for me to pick myself up and not need other people to pick me up? Fair enough if you have a support system, but what if you don't? The strength has to come from within, just like a child has the strength from within.
Exactly. That's what I was saying, within. And that this is giving us an opportunity to reflect and say, okay. And I've known so many people, and I also I've known so many people. Just yesterday, I was talking to a cousin of mine, and he's opened so many. He's now part of he's opening a restaurant. He's doing something in the airport. So I said, look, COVID's been good. It's helped you to reflect. Maybe you're working on something different, but now you're looking at different angles and seeing what you can do. And if you're finding your passion, and we have to experiment. Only when you experiment can you find your passion. And life is like that. Life, I always like to compare life like a stock market. There are going to be some and there are going to be some downs. Otherwise, life is boring. Otherwise, you're not living life, right?
Absolutely.
Don't be scared of failing. Just try. If it does not work, try something else. Try again. Never give up. Why should we give up? All my life, I've been told by people, oh, he's not going to succeed, or he's not going to do well in school, or he's not going to graduate. But I said, who the hell are them to tell me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do? End of the day, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So great. Adapting your goals, not being afraid of failure, and bringing that child back from within you. I think this is what I'm getting, and this is what I'm sharing with everyone from my learning with you today. And it's been a lot of fun having this chat with you. It's been a lot of bringing back childhood memories and discussing a whole lot of, our own passions and failures, and that's absolutely exhilarating. So thank you for being here and sharing these things and tools with us.
No, thank you so much for having me. And of course, also make a vision board. That's also very important. That's another video I said earlier.
But I'm glad you bring that up, because that's now getting into adult zone. That if we don't have a vision board, how do we really strategically go about adapting our goals? So that absolutely needs to be done. And for all of those who don't know what that is, I think that's your research for today on how to create a vision board. But thank you so much, Veer, for being here with us. And
thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Soon with you. And I want to take a couple of seconds to also announce next week's session, which we are going to have with the former Miss World 𝗂𝗏 on a very, very exciting topic. So we want you all to join, and that's going to be the last session of this series. So very, very excited to have all of you with us. So thank you so much, Veer, and a very, very good evening to everyone and all of our viewers.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, and have a good evening, everybody.